Good morning. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Morning.
y'all.
Morning.
Happy Saturday. So good to see you guys. I guess some introductions are in order. So we do have a new food flip group that are now new OGs. So now we have some more OGs in the house. So I'm really excited to see y'all emerge and to continue our learning now together as OGs. But our new food flippers, we have Luisa and Wes, which I don't know um, how to point y'all out. If y'all could just wave.
Hello.
Hello.
Um, so it's so good to see you guys here. I've been really enjoying talking about exercise with you both and like seeing your workout videos. So we're dialing in. So today will be really great for that. And then Karen, if you could wave.
Hi.
What what was really fun is I actually met Karen serendipitously. I was doing an online workout during COVID and was training her sister and then realized that I actually was personal training their mother before that. So it was just so crazy, such a surreal small world moment. So it was really cool. And then Mandy, I fangirl about Mandy and Costa Rica and um and so
I'm pressing my coffee actually, so that's why I wasn't.
nice. Costa Rica has great coffee. So very cool. I need to go to Costa Rica again because it has a special place in my heart. Love Costa Rica. And and then we have Pam. Pam, I know you're doing things, but I'm so glad you're here. Maybe you're also getting some coffee in. Um,
Yeah, I am.
I need to get mine. And then Dion, it's so good to see you.
You
Um,
too.
I'm so glad y'all are here. And then we have OGs in the house, so Lisa and Jason. Y'all could, yeah. And so I've also been enjoying y'all's workout videos and just y'all are crushing it. So very exciting. And Haley, I know you're doing things probably either outside or driving somewhere or making some jam, not sure, but you're always doing something really cool in the morning. Y'all hit the ground running. So I'm glad you're here. And then Dodie. I'm glad you're here, Jody and Neil. Awesome. Okay, I think that is everybody. It's good to see you guys. Thank y'all for being here. We're going to talk about personal workout plans. So the OGs, we talked a little bit about exercise. So I'm gonna have like a little question pop quiz thing. So hopefully last time you remember one thing, but everyone else can make your best guess. So let's just go ahead and dive in. And we're gonna circle around to those five exercise questions that I dropped in a Discord announcement. So if you didn't get a chance to look at those, we're going through that together. But if you did, then you're prepared in case I call on you. So I asked if you wanted a custom workout plan, respond yes to the text. So then I have your name and a hat. And maybe some of y'all recognize this hat. Maybe some of y'all don't. But this was the hat that I originally made, and it's kind of falling apart. Some of the fluff is falling off. But this was our celebratory hat for our first OG graduation, whenever we wore our party hats. So I have some names in the hat, and I will draw on them and the names in the hat are people who responded yes to wanting a custom plan. So hopefully you looked over the five questions, but I'll step you through it. So, developing a personal plan, I think my perception is I'm a little friendlier than he is. So you're gonna be in good hands. He seems very hardcore. Um, so, so there are four categories of exercise, and your plan can incorporate one or all four or any combination of these four. Um, but what are some of the categories of exercise that you think of? Like, what's one category?
Cardio.
Yes. Okay, cardio. Perfect. And then if you had to guess, where would cardio land on these four? Would it be column one, far, I don't know why, but I went from far right to left, opposite of what we normally do. So would it be the far right one, maybe the second one, maybe the third
Second.
one? Okay. Okay, so second. Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Second. Yeah.
Okay. So is second this one or second this one?
No, that
Okay,
one.
okay, okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I was going like backwards this way. Okay, cool. So second one, perfect. I was like, it could be, I guess you could if you were really intensely stretching, I guess. But yeah, this definitely this definitely is more the cardio. Okay, so we have cardio. What is another form of exercise or movement?
Fat burning.
Okay, fat burning, yes. So we can see fat burning for most of these. And actually, we're going to talk about that at the end because there's like a lot of hype on like what exercise is the best for targeting fat versus other forms of energy. So we're going to talk about that at the end. Okay, and then one more form of exercise before I reveal what these categories are.
Strength training.
Yes, strength training. Perfect. That's probably the one I might hype up as the most. I will disclose my biases, but I will also be very transparent. And if you don't want to lift a weight in your life, well, guess what? Your body weighs something, so you already are. So too bad. I was about to be like, oh, it's okay, but actually you do anyways. So everybody strength trains. Okay, so the first category is general movement. So when people have like a step goal, that's typically the category. It's just general movement. Overall, you're burning calories, you're moving fluid. So some of us, like me, I get swelling in my ankles. And so something that really helps is, drink enough water. Maybe if you're eating a whole lot of sodium and you're not sweating a whole lot, that might be something to consider. But for me personally, just movement helps. Like if I sit for 10 hours, my ankles are gonna be swollen. So our lymph through our body is basically how our body moves fluid around. It's kind of like the blood system, but water version. But our blood has a central pump, which is the
Heart.
heart, exactly. So our circulatory system has the heart, but our lymph does not have a central pump or heart. So it relies on muscles to pump or to push water through. And that's why general movement, no matter what kind of movement, is beneficial, or for those reasons of the calorie burn, fluid movement, getting your body moving is a great thing. Oh, and also joints. So your joints don't really have a whole lot of blood going to them. So something that keeps them healthy is moving through the motion, which stimulates the synovial fluid to be produced, which is just what keeps your joints greased, basically. So movement can really help for that. And then we have mobility and restoration. So that's like yoga, Pilates, static stretching, dynamic stretching. Sometimes these are a little bit overhyped, but they do kind of help with mental calm. They might feel great in the moment. Um, and they can potentially help with like core strength, like Pilates, for example. That's really great. And they can help with increased mobility, especially if it's dynamic stretching, active stretching. Static stretching, typically when you're living your day, you're active. So if you can do the splits, your legs are relaxed and you're doing the splits, which is great. But the question is, can you reach with your legs really far and not pull an inner thigh, for example? So we live life active. So sometimes static stretching doesn't really transfer to real life. So that's why dynamic stretching or something called PNF stretching can be really helpful. And we can always talk more about that. And then cardio. So we're probably familiar with cardio, like Dion was talking about. So cardio is really anything done at 50% intensity. And we have like an equation for all of this. that we've talked about before and would love to like circle back on if you want to know like what heart rate do I need for my personal like age um and fitness level. We can talk about that, but just generally, it's anything done 50% intensity based on heart rate. So it's like brisk walking, jogging, swimming, yard work. Sometimes when I'm mowing and I haven't mowed in a while and the grass is long, my heart rate can get up to 130 because I'm really pushing the mower. So a lot of things can count as cardio, and there are a lot of benefits. Some of it primarily is the cardiovascular system. That's why we call it cardio. So like heart efficiency, lung efficiency. It can have bone density benefits, but there's a big if there. So bone density benefits if adequate nutrition and we're not over exercising. So we always need to make sure we have the building blocks to actually build something. So if we're stimulating our bone to get more dense, but we're not giving it the building blocks, it can't build. So that's why nutrition is really important. And then last but not least, like Dodie told us, we have strength training or weight training. So this is anything that's done heavy enough that we can only do 8 to 20 reps. So sometimes people kind of generously put things in the weight training category of um, really light weights, which it's absolutely strength training. Like if lateral raises, those are really hard. Light weights are probably still considered weight training if you can only do 8 to 20 reps at that particular weight. So for some people who are a little bit weaker, we talked about my hypothetical grandmother. Um, and how body weight squats, she can only do 5 before she's absolutely exhausted. That would be strength training for her, would be body weight squats. But for some of us who might be a little bit more conditioned or trained, that might not be quite as difficult. So that wouldn't be considered strength training. So this is the 4 forms of exercise. So now let's talk a bit about how to pick and choose of these for our own custom plan. Oh yeah, and then I just wanted to emphasize weight training, you can get all of the benefits from all the other 3 categories of movement. So it can be cardio if you're good, if you're going heavy. Like yesterday, I did legs. My heart rate got up to 140. So for me, that's definitely in the cardio zone. And then you can get mobility benefits like with deadlift if you use the full range of motion and you're feeling a stretch in your hamstrings, which a deadlift is basically just a bending over. Think about bending over to touch your toes and how that's a hamstring stretch. Similarly, a deadlift can help with your mobility. And again, it's the gold of being active. So that translates to life versus like doing the splits. So you can get mobility benefits and then also just the general benefits of general movement. So you're burning calories, you're getting fluid moving in your body. So that's why um, I I personally have been so passionate about weight training, but I've also in the past done just cardio because that's what I enjoyed, and I didn't quite grasp the benefits of weight training. But again, you can choose any of these 4. Movement is great, and especially if you have different goals, like if you have cardio goals, or if you just absolutely love cardio and that's your thing, then maybe we focus there and maybe just use weight training supplementally to help lower your risk of injury. So let's talk a bit about the custom plan now. Now that we have those 4 out of the way, what the benefits are. So, custom plan considerations, we want to know your baseline. So, think back to our nutrition. I asked first about baseline. That's always where we start. And we'll talk a little bit about why here in a second. And it's pretty similar to the nutrition reasons why. But knowing your baseline is really important. And then time consideration. So, unlike nutrition, arguably, exercise takes more time. So, like nutrition, we're going to eat anyway. So, it sometimes doesn't add more time to your doesn't add more to your plate. Sometimes it does literally, but sometimes it doesn't add more time demand. So if you're going out to eat, for example, like just think about what you did during baseline week. If fast food was all you ate, it doesn't necessarily need to take more time. You can still eat the fast food, but just being intentional about what you order. which maybe that takes a little bit of mental space, but doesn't necessarily need to take more time. Meal prep does take time. It can save time in the long haul. But exercise, one way or another, it's going to take more time. Um, so we got to think about that. And then your goals. Your goals are really important. So what do you want exercise to do for you? What equipment do you have, or where do you work out? Does the gym you have certain machines, or at home do you have certain weights? And then preferences. So your preferences are really important on what you like. So if you know you really despise, I don't know, squats, for example, squats are just not your thing. Just know that there are so many other exercises. First off, I'd want you to reconsider. But if you really do hate squats, just know that there's so many other exercises that can really hit pretty much the same thing. Squats are just really efficient, like you're working a lot of your leg at the same time, but we can absolutely do lunges, which are just split squats, or we can do step ups, which are single leg squats, basically. Um, and at the end of the day, after doing step ups, lunges, Bulgarian split squats, and those things, then you might actually really like squats more than those. But but we can try those, and have you help you appreciate the squat. But your preferences really matter. So let's dive in a little bit more to each of these five, and then we'll have our hat drawing. So first, know your baseline. Why do we need to know your baseline? We have this idea. So think about like what you think about nutrition whenever you first started Food Flip is like there is the perfect diet and I am worlds away, or there is a perfect diet, and I need to know exactly what it is so I can jump ship from where I'm at now and just like jump into that perfect diet. So we have this idea that optimal, or like the perfect diet, and what's actually realistic, are two very different things. Being realistic means, well, I can't achieve the perfect diet because I'm only human and I have cravings. So I'm going to take it easy on myself and let myself hit sub perfect, just because I'm going to take it easy on myself and I can't expect perfection. So that's I don't know if that really resonated, but that's yeah, okay. But that's a very common thought is optimal and realistic are two very different things. But what I actually want to blow your mind with is that this is actually not true, and optimal is realistic. So with nutrition, for example, whenever you started, even if someone was eating, and I feel like it's dark in here. Even even if someone was eating 100% fast food diet, let's just say, like, yeah, it's good to get like some whole foods. It's good to get some fiber in. Like there are health benefits, and it will probably be an improvement to do that. Let's just say like the optimal diet is completely whole foods. If they jump ship from eating fast foods to eating whole foods, that's actually going to be potentially harmful. Like they're going to feel uncomfortable with all the fiber. They might actually have irregular bowel movements. They'll probably get stomach aches. I've talked with people who have done this, and they're like, I don't know why people say whole foods make them feel great because I feel absolutely terrible. So it's really interesting that the realistic approach, or like the going easy approach of slowly integrating those foods, is actually the optimal approach. It's actually the healthiest approach. So similarly with exercise, let's say someone is not working out at all. Um, I personally love the results from working out. Sometimes I don't love working out itself, but I love the results. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with it. So I work out 5 days a week. So let's say someone's like, okay, I want to do that. I want to work out 5 days a week from going from 0 to 5. Their risk of injury is actually higher. So here are all the reasons. The risk of injury is higher. It might not be enjoyable because they're going from 0 to 100. um, it's going to be very disruptive. So whenever they're used to, I don't know, sitting on watching their favorite show, now they have to figure out where is all this like extra time going to come from. So it's a lot of learning how to reorient your schedule to make it work. Um, it's probably not going to integrate well with their life. So for that person, optimal is realistic. So what's realistic would be, okay, let's start with 1 day a week, see how that goes. Okay, now let's go to 2 days a week. So that's not going easy on ourselves. That's not um, like we were talking about before, it's not going easy or it's not like patting ourselves on the back. There, poor me. I'm just gonna go light and do one. That's actually the best approach is the realistic approach, the gradual approach. And ultimately, the best workout plan is the one that you can stick with. So we can write like the perfect workout plan if that was even a thing. Um, but if someone doesn't enjoy it or they don't figure out how to reorganize their life and their schedule to make it work, they're probably going to do it for a couple of days, maybe not the full week, and just decide this is too difficult. I'm just going to back off. So the best workout plan is the one you can stick with. So we want injury prevention. We want it to be enjoyable. We want it to not be disruptive. We want to still, I'm going to go ahead and I'm hearing a little background noise, which I don't really know how to, I don't remember how to do this. Um, okay, we're just gonna ignore it. I get very distracted very easily. So we want injury prevention. We want it to be enjoyable. We don't want it to be disruptive on life. Like keep living your life. We want your exercise to um, integrate well with your life. Um, and we want you to be able to stick with it. So that is what we're figuring out. So that's why we need to think about these 5 things. So knowing your baseline, making small changes, that is absolutely critical for it to be optimal, but also for it to be sustainable. So time considerations, how many days a week and what duration can you commit to? Goals. What do you want to get out of your workout? So where would you like to grow? What would you like to see more toned? What would you like to get stronger? Equipment. What gear do you have or need? What location? And then preferences. What do you enjoy? So these are the things to think about when writing your plan, and will converge both what you like and what is like the science-based way to work out. That's something that I'd love to do for somebody today. So I shared 5 questions. Basically, we just went over the 5 questions. There were the 5 points, but I shared them on Discord. And here's the thing, the QR code if you want to look at those 5 questions. Because I'm about to draw a name out of this hat for someone who we're going to go through those 5 questions with and figure out their plan. So it's time to put into action and it's hat drawing time. So I'm not looking. I'm going to draw somebody's name. And quick note, we can always have a conversation offline. I'm going to keep it kind of general, and I'll let you lead the way on how open you want to be. So this can be as general or as specific as you would like. So we can talk about injuries and things like that. Sometimes people Okay. Sometimes people have like incontinence for example, so like jump squats aren't a thing. So we can always talk about things like that offline, or separation in your abs, for example. After pregnancy, that happens. We can always talk about that offline if you want. We can talk about it now. Up to you. So I have the name, and it is Karen. Karen. There we go. Okay,
Oh my
so
gosh.
I'm so excited. So Karen, let's talk about let's put it into action. And let's talk about these 5 things. So number one is kind of knowing what is realistic now that's not disruptive, that you find like an easy, good time doing this amount of exercise. So um, how many days a week and what type of exercise do you currently enjoy?
So I am working with a personal trainer, and I do that 2 times a week. So I do Tuesdays and Fridays, and it's a 50-minute. appointment. So we do definitely a lot of strength training and then some of like, I'll call it cardio, he'll call it endurance.
Right.
Um, so that's what I'm currently doing
Awesome.
and looking
Awesome.
to do a lot more.
That's awesome. Yay. Okay, so that's something that I get really excited about when someone's working with a trainers because you have some eyes on your form, like you know that you are going to show up, like you're set to show up 2 days a week. So that's really awesome. So 2 days a week is great, and does that feel like like your baseline, like that feels like your normal. If you do nothing else, like you know you're gonna do those two.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. And then so two. So you said you'd like to do more. So what do you have as your idea of like what you'd like to do? And then we'll either scale that down, scale that up, but just what do you have in your head?
So, and I'm being realistic here, like eventually I'd like to get to 5 days a week, but for right now I'm at two. I'd like it to be 4 days. And
Okay.
I love the strength training. And you know my history, like I've had some back surgeries, and so I've been feeling amazing because I've been consistent with it, right? Whereas I wasn't in the past, also as you know. Um, so I would like to do 4 days of like strength training and then, be active like walking or something the other days totally.
Right, right. Perfect. So whenever we're adding another day in, and this applies for someone who's at 0 days and is looking to add one day, is sometimes just committing to 10 minutes of like it doesn't really matter what it is. Sometimes the biggest hurdle is figuring out the time that works best for you and like the day that works best for you and like figuring out the things to shuffle around. So sometimes as little of a thing as it sounds, sometimes just committing to like a 15-minute whatever walk, whatever it is that you like to do, that's like the most easy thing to do. If leaving your house is hard, then I would encourage someone to start with just do a 15-minute walk. And with that low commitment, you're like, okay, there's no way I'm not doing this. And then you figure out, oh, I started walking in the morning, and that actually like my mornings are really hectic. I actually prefer the evenings, or vice versa. A lot of people's evenings get kind of hectic, to where if they start that 15-minute walk in the evening, they're like, it's not quite working. I'm going to try the morning. You get to learn all those different things at low stakes if it's just walking. But since you work out 2 days a week already, you might know like the optimal time for you or like the time that works best. Um, but let's look at making that 3 days, 3 days a week, and then making that your new baseline before adding another day. Um,
Perfect. Mm.
so let's plan on three. And then you said your sessions are 50 minutes. So how does it feel making that third session 50 minutes? Like, does 15 minutes feel like a sweet spot for you, like a good amount of time?
50.
Five-oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it
Okay.
feels very
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll start it at three times a week, 50 and 50 minutes. And then the two sessions you have with your trainer, is there like a specified like lower body, upper body, or are they full body workouts?
So, it's so for example, yesterday it was all lower body, lots of squats, lunges, that type of thing. There's always also a little bit of abs. The time before Tuesday, it was all upper body, arms and shoulders. And then sometimes it may be a combination of both. So,
Okay, cool.
yes.
So a consideration is, and we'll talk about a little bit about goals, but for someone who's at 2 days a week, there are a lot of ways that you can do this. You can either do full body 2 days a week, or you can do a lower body one day and then an upper body one day. And so then if we're adding a third day and you're already doing one lower body, one upper body, then the third day might be a full body. Or if you're doing two full bodies, the third day that we add might be focused on whatever it is that you want to work on the most. So like if I was personally doing 3 days a week, I would do potentially like two full body, and then I would want to maybe do a lower body because that's more of what I would want to work. Well, now that I think about it, my shoulders are my lagging part, so I'm trying to grow those most. So maybe it would be an upper body. So these are things that we would think about. Is what do we want to hit those 3 days depending on your goals. So what would you like to get out of your workout? So with lifting, we're thinking about what would you like to maybe grow or yeah, what would you want your workout to do for you?
So I wrote down three things because I kind of prepared for this. Obviously, one is to just also burn fat. So I carry it all in my midsection.
Right, right.
Um, I I wear a lot of tank tops, and so I would actually really love to have toned arms. So I obviously like I work my legs and still want to work my legs, but like I would love to have toned arms and shoulders.
Okay.
Um, and then again, given the back surgeries in my past, like creating just that good core strength, back strength.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect. Okay, sweet. So you brought up something, and I know that Mandy, we talked about this, and then Jason, you mentioned about fat burning too. So let's kind of pull that in. Um, so the leanness or like how toned you look is pretty much comes down to how lean you are. So which comes down to nutrition. So nutrition is really the determining factor of weight loss or fat loss. Um, think of weight training as where do I want growth to happen? What do I want to make potentially bigger? If we don't have a lot of muscle, whenever we lose fat, we just look kind of shapeless. We look like our skeleton, so very long, linky type of look. So muscle underneath really helps give the shape and the really fun lines that we see, like with sculpted arms, where you might see like the delt cap and some lines, like where your bicep and your tricep are. That's all based on making sure you have the muscle to show. Because if not, whenever you get lean, you just see bone. You just see that that's underneath. So we want to make sure that muscle is there to show. So for toned arms, we're thinking yes. We want to have muscle underneath, so we want to work like the shoulders, maybe with some lateral raises or overhead presses. If you like those bicep curls. But if you want to shed the fat, unfortunately, the weight training doesn't target fat loss. So like crunches don't help burn more fat in your midsection, but they do help with the core strength that you're talking about. But like overhead presses won't help you burn fat in your arms, but they will absolutely help you build the muscle underneath. So that's a distinction that's so commonly, I guess, one of the most common misinformations out there is like crunches help you lean your yeah, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then with the tone arms, it's a combination of like working your arms to get the muscle, but then the nutrition piece. Um, to help with the fat loss. And we'll talk a little bit more about fat loss at the end during our Q&A. And then equipment, so like knowing what gym equipment that you have will be really helpful. And especially if you talk to your trainer and you say, hey, this is like the one workout that I'm committed to doing myself, I'm sure that they'll work with you to not do those exercises during your sessions because you have that base covered. So making sure that you're talking with them so they can plan on your other 2 days. But for those of us who we are, we are the trainer, or we are determining our 2 other days, that's something to think about is just having designated workouts instead of just showing up and then expecting yourself to be creative and like put a workout together. Probably not the most realistic thing. And I like going and exercising to turn my brain off. Like my brain has been on and thinking about OChem. Like I need the off time. And so being able to turn your brain pretty much off and just follow a plan is really helpful. Um, okay, and then preferences. So you want tone arms. So I feel like that's the thing to emphasize are like the arm exercises. And then definitely the core, which you're doing with your trainer 2 days a week. So we can add core or not since you're already doing it 2 days a week. But are there any particular arm exercises that you absolutely enjoy?
I think it's easier to say what I don't like.
Yeah, yes. Okay, what do you not like? That's definitely part of preferences too.
Um, Basically jumping, like
Oh, okay, yeah,
and physically because it's just hard on my low back.
right.
But otherwise, like I like anything else, like lunges, squats, like deadlifts, RDL, like I love it all, just no jumping.
Nice. Okay, perfect. So good news is for working arms, well, I guess you could jump. Like some people do like the plyometric push-ups where you're like but in general, I would not recommend jumping for arms. So we're safe. Okay, cool. So then we'd think about what exercises would we want to add. So for sculpted arms, I would definitely recommend some shoulder work. So like some lateral raises, overhead presses, and then whenever you're writing a workout, which is something I do and like tap into my brain, or have me write workouts for you, but you want to work the thing you want to prioritize early in your workout, and and you also want to do compound movements early in your workout and then do like accessory isolations at the end of your workout. So like for example, someone was doing tricep extensions early in their workout and then later they were doing bench press. So just think, if you're starting with tricep extensions, you are fatiguing a small muscle. Whenever you're doing bench press, your chest is much stronger than your tricep. But if your tricep can't keep up, if it's so fatigued that your arm can't straighten on bench press, your tricep is now the limiting factor of your bench press. So now you can't
Mm.
bench as much because you fatigued a small muscle. So if we reverse that, where you first do bench press, you can go heavy, your tricep is not a limiting factor, and then finish off with your tricep extensions, that would be the sequence. So sequence does play a role in creating your workouts. So um, I would say that delts we would want to prioritize for your arms. I've personally before had no delt and all tricep. And that's just an interesting look. So so as much as maybe some people love triceps, I would still try to do some shoulder work before so that your triceps aren't a limiting factor on the bigger movements and do triceps later. So uh, starting off with like lateral raises might be great. If someone has a pinched shoulder, then we would add a prehab exercise. So like external rotations are a really great one to do. Um, I'm seeing some nods like, yep, I need to do that. So you can definitely work around injuries. So for me personally, I just like to do prehab to take care of my shoulders. So uh, for a warm up, you can do external rotations, and I can send you a link to a video of me like actually stepping you through it. But external rotations, you can do them weighted like with a dumbbell, or you can also attach a resistance band in front of you and pull. Either way, we want to make sure that your posture is having your shoulders rolled down and back, which normally we're here rolled forward. I'm seeing some people going like this, sitting up nice and tall now. Um, so whenever you're doing arms, posture, and whenever you're doing any exercise, but especially arms, posture is so important. If you do a lateral raise in a rounded position, you might feel a pinch in the front of your shoulders. So you want to roll your shoulders down and back. Posture is everything. And it'll make a big difference. So if you're rolled forward and you have your thumbs up, you're going to work the front of your shoulders, which typically already get a whole lot of work. But if you roll your shoulders down and back and your thumb is now sideways, you're going to work the side of your shoulder. So that's why form is really important. Just think about the part of your shoulder that's facing the sky is what you're working. So if you're rolled forward, you might be working the back of your shoulder. Sometimes whenever lateral raises get hard and you lean back, you're actually going to work more of the front of your shoulder. So you don't want to do either. You want nice proud chest, stand straight up and lift your arms out to the sides, that the side of your shoulders pointing up, because then that's what you're working. So I would start with external rotations, followed by lateral raises, and then compound movements. So like your overhead press, if we're combining both push and pull, then you could do overhead press and bent over rows. Um, so I'd want to know what your two other workouts what exercises you hit and maybe talk with your trainer to see what your third workout would be. Um, but I'm sure your trainer would love to talk a little bit more about that. But those are some of the considerations. So building an upper body day, I would think since you may be hitting full body days other days a week, I'd want to make sure your upper body day is pretty complete. And so by complete, I mean we're not just focusing on push movements, like we're not just focusing on chest, but we're also working on your back. So lateral raise, where are we at? Overhead press and bent over rows. Those three are working your shoulders, working a little bit of your chest with your overhead press. But then you're also working your back and some of your lat with your bent over rows. So if you only had three exercises and you wanted to do upper body day, those would be the three that I would recommend. If you want to throw in a fourth, then I would probably add a lat pull down. So lats, uh, most of us, I would probably generalize and say, especially as ladies, we typically don't think about like, yes, I want to have lats. Like that is the muscle that I really want. But we oftentimes say like, I want a smaller waist. And so how do we give the illusion of a small waist? We can either make our waist smaller by losing fat, or we can make our upper body a little bit bigger. And that's what lats help us do. They help us give the wider upper body so we have a nice taper for our lower body. And lats are a really important muscle to help our shoulder stability, basically. So I would recommend lat pull downs. So if we're going to add lat pull downs into the mix, so we already have three. So we have lateral raise, overhead press, bent over rows. If we're going to add the lat pull down in, I would probably add it in after your what makes most sense after your lateral raise. So how did I get to that? And sometimes there's no right answer. But how did I get to that? So we want lateral raise first because I find that the delts might be hardest to grow. We might want to prioritize that for shape. So that's first. Um, and then why did I choose a pull downs second? Well, because lateral raise works the side of your shoulder, overhead press works the side of your shoulder. Maybe it'd be beneficial to give the side of your shoulder a little bit of a rest, do something else, and then come back. Um, and also bent over rows work a little bit of your lat as well. So we want to um, maybe have a break between those. So uh, lateral raise, lat pull downs, overhead press, and then bent over rows. That would be a pretty complete arm upper body workout. Now, if you wanted to add accessories like I love bicep curls, then that at the end would be the time to add that in. Just know that with overhead press, you are working a little bit of your tricep. So knowing what each muscle is responsible for, the movement each is responsible for is important. So just think about where the tricep is. The tricep is right here. So this muscle lengthens, gets longer as I bend my arm, but think it contracts, it gets shorter as I straighten my arm. So we know that the tricep is used for arm bending and straightening. So we straighten our arms in our overhead press. So we do use our tricep in our overhead press. So just know if you didn't actually add a specific like tricep movement, you still are working your triceps. But you can add it in if you want. I personally, my triceps are about as big as my shoulders, so I wouldn't prioritize tricep growth for me personally. But if you're more balanced and you like tricep extensions, then you can add it in. I do tricep extensions once a week, but I go really light and um, I just add it in, and I'm honestly thinking about taking some of it out. But if you love it, add it in. So we're at 4 exercises. How does that feel? I feel like that might take about 35, 40 minutes. So we're still a little shy, and that's okay. It's okay to go under, especially figuring out your new routine and to be excited about something new. So, Lisa and I, we were talking a bit about keeping things exciting, and it's okay to save something new for tomorrow. And that goes with exercise, that goes with food, that goes with all kinds of experiences. Like whenever I'm at Costco, I have to remind myself I don't have to buy all the snacks. I can save something exciting for next time. So if you wanted to start with those four, and that feels pretty light, that feels pretty easy, um, then you can end there and just think, I'm excited to add tricep extensions later when I'm ready to bump my workout time from 40 to 50 minutes. So it's okay to not do all the things at once. So I would start with those four, talk with your trainer so that he knows you have that covered. So maybe whenever you're doing your other sessions, you don't need to do those exercises. But how does that feel?
That sounds great. I love it.
Yay! Okay, perfect. So that's kind of, thank you, Karen, so much. Everyone give Karen a round of applause.
Ah,
Yay!
thanks, guys. Thanks, Michelle.
Of course. Thank you for being really open. And like we can talk about theory, but it's really whenever you put it into practice that it actually like starts to click and make sense. So that's how you kind of step through um, building a workout plan. So for and thank you, you're obvious, like you thought about the questions. Like this went really well. I'm so excited. So you guys, if you want to take Karen's lead and think over those 5 questions that I shared, do it. And Karen has her plan today, right now, because she was the lucky winner. But if you want your custom plan, you can scan this thing um, and think about the 5 questions. Oh, wait. Oh, this is the 5 questions on Discord. My bad. My bad. Um, Let me go forward. Okay, so to talk about your plan, here we go. This is the right QR code. Then you would give me an update, so I need to kind of know what's up, what's going on, what do you want to do, how are things going. So give me an update, and this will also give you an opportunity to drop your thoughts and feelings about Food Flip. You can either keep it confidential between us, or this really helps me get the word out about Food Flip. So if it's been really helpful, then you can add a testimonial or whatever, and I can share it as you'd like, as you give me permission. And then after the step one of giving me your feedback, then you would book a one-on-one call where we, just like we did with Karen, we would talk about those 5 questions and how to apply it to you. This is also the same QR code if you want an updated nutrition plan. We can also talk about that. So achieving your goals is typically a combo with nutrition and now exercise that we're adding in. So let's leverage both to really get the results you want. Just remember that strength training can help with growing things, so you have cool muscle lines, but nutrition is really ultimately what's going to help with the leanness of helping lean you up. So having both is really beneficial. So that is all, you guys. Thank you so much, Karen. And then do y'all have any, oh, we do have one thing I want to circle back about fat burning. So any other questions before we talk a bit about that? And thank you guys for staying over. I really appreciate it. This was really fun. Okay. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Sweet. So if y'all need to dip, cool. But I think Jason brought up a good point about fat loss. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And feel free to head out as you need. Um, so some exercise. Have y'all heard, or is it just, I know my social media algorithm is like either recipes or fitness advice. And I like to know what's out there to know what y'all are hearing. Um, and so what I'm hearing is you have to exercise like and hit a particular heart rate or a particular zone to burn fat. Have y'all heard that too? Okay. Yeah. So they typically emphasize like lower intensity cardio to hit that fat burn. Is that what you're hearing too, Jason? Okay. Okay. So let's talk a bit about um money because that is a good analogy. So whether you're at the grocery store and you pay with cash, okay, girl math aside, girl math aside, if you pay with cash or you pay with credit card, you're still paying the same amount. Um, assuming so what your body does is it cashes out everything that you have and stores it in your body. So unlike us, we might keep cash around. Your body always balances the check every day. So whether we pay with cash or card, it's the exact same thing. So if we're walking incline is what I've been hearing to burn fat, we might be paying with credit card. So at that very moment, we're seeing our bank statement go down or we're seeing our fat deposits go down. If we sprint, we're paying with cash. We need immediate energy. We need it right away. We might not necessarily see the bank statement go down because it was cash, but once we check everything out, once we deposit the rest of our cash, we will still have the same amount in our bank, whether we use cash or credit. So let me now talk just about fitness. So, if we are at a lower heart rate at that particular moment for energy, we are typically burning fat at that particular moment. If we sprint, our body doesn't have time to break down fat. It needs our sugar stores right away that are in our muscle. And so someone might say, well, then we're not burning fat, right? Well, wrong. We're burning calories. And by the end of the day, if we're eating the same amount of calories, our body will then later in the day have to withdraw some fat to burn to keep us moving for the rest of the day. So, um, the emphasis is more on calories burned and how many calories are we taking in. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what fuel source we're using at that particular moment at exercise because everything evens out at the end of the day. So if we burned more calories in a sprint than we did in our walk, we will actually lose weight faster than if we were to just walk because ultimately we're burning more calories. And so at night or at the end of the day, whenever we did our sprint, we're eating less calories than we're burning. So at that moment, later in the evening is the time when our body is burning fat to help keep our body going. So it doesn't matter at the particular moment of exercise what fuel source we're using. What matters is the calories that we burn that day and how many calories did we take in that day. If the difference between the two, if we're taking in less calories than we're burning, then we will see fat loss or muscle loss. So how do we retain muscle? We work out so that we pull our energy that we need from our fat, not our muscle, which is typically what our body does anyway. But the leaner we get, the more our body will pull from muscles. That's why exercise is really important, especially as we get leaner, which is something I would really encourage a lot of the medical field to talk about more. But those are the things to consider. So it doesn't matter what fuel source you're using in that particular moment of exercise. What matters is the difference between the energy you're pulling in through food versus burning through exercise. So I think that kind of hits on a really common misconception. So it's really not as complicated as they make it. Like you want to burn fat, you have to put your incline on X amount and make sure that you're getting a heart rate of X amount. Don't go over this. That's just a lot of noise. Why we personally, or I personally encourage you guys to have a heart rate goal for your cardio is to get all of the great benefits that come with cardio. But remember, if you don't hit that threshold of 50%, if you're under that, you still get all the benefits of general movement. You still get all the benefits of pushing fluids through your body. But to really get to make your heart and your lungs more efficient, you have to challenge them. And to challenge them, we need to get your heart rate high enough so that it is challenging. Our bodies are lazy. They're machines for survival. They do not want to grow. They want to put on fat and they don't want to be more efficient because efficiency takes energy and our body wants to be in hibernation mode. It wants to burn as few calories as possible to make sure you survive. So, in order to overcome our survival of not changing, not growing, not just keeping the status quo, we have to challenge it and make it think it's in our best interest. It's in survival's best interest to change. So if we're constantly demanding more on our lungs, then our body's like, well, apparently we need to run from bears a lot, so we're gonna we're gonna make this a little bit more efficient. We're gonna make this a little bit better, and that's how we improve. Same thing with muscle gaining. It is calorically expensive. It takes a lot of calories to put on muscle. So how do we encourage it to grow? By lifting heavy enough to where it's like, well, apparently we have to get stronger. So our bodies are lazy. It doesn't want to change. So how do we make it change? We have to make sure we challenge it. So that's why we have kind of a threshold for those cardio benefits. But just know if you don't hit it, you still get benefit from exercise. Um, so I think that might clear up a big misconception. So with that, any follow-up questions on that?
I have a
Just
question.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Jason.
Dion, let's go.
Oh, it's just about water. You know, you hear a lot about water weight, like if your scale's going up and down. Oh, it's water weight, water weight. Like how
Right.
much, what does
Yeah.
that mean? And then like how much water should we be consuming? Is it the typical, whatever times your body
Right.
weight, or is it, 8 cups
Right.
a day?
This is such a good one. So there's so many things. This is such a simple question, but my brain's going like five different directions and there's so much to unpack here. So with water, it can be as simple as just like nutrition, just like exercise. We talked about baseline. So what are you currently drinking? And then how is that going? So if you're sometimes feeling a little dizzy when you get up, and you know that your iron is in check and such, sometimes it is just a matter of water. And so adding just half a bottle of water and then see how that goes. And I'm seeing a couple of us drinking water now, or drinking something. So that's what I would encourage is just see what kind of normal is for you and then add maybe half a bottle and see how that goes because we are so different. A great indicator is your urine color. So if it is very yellow, you probably know your body is trying to recycle water because you're not getting enough of it. So go ahead and add maybe a little bit of water if you're noticing color because you want it to be more on the clear side. Um, so that's kind of what I would what I would recommend. Does that kind of help with that a little
Okay,
bit?
just curious. Like I drink like 3 of these a day. I think they're like 22 ounces. I mean, is that good? Should I be
Right.
less, more?
Yeah.
I mean, what does the water weight mean? Like, am I drinking
Okay.
too much water or
Right. Okay. So water weight is kind of a separate thing. So with making sure you're hydrated, I would look at urine color and overall like kind of dizziness or like mouth feel. The problem with whenever people get a little bit older, like you might notice 70-year-olds, they no longer have the drive to drink. So for them, they need external cues. Like they need to be told how much they need to drink. But typically for us in like the middle age range, anywhere from like kids to um, like 60s or so, you still have the cues to drink water. Sometimes if you need a number, but again, everyone is so different. You can take your weight and pounds and divide that by two, and that's how many, or divide cut that in half, and that's how many ounces you want to aim for. And that's a general recommendation, but everyone is again so different. So um, it sounds like you're getting about a pretty decent amount. So the changes you would make would just be fine tuning depending on how you feel. So I remember
Okay.
one day you might have felt like a little dizzy, like and then that would be a time that you're like, okay, maybe I am a little low, so maybe let's bump that up half a bottle. And then the other thing about water weight is you can absolutely see the scale go up and down. Like it feels like I've been sticking to my plan, and for whatever reason, like um, now things aren't working. I would just keep your head down, stay consistent, and don't let the scale talk. Don't consult the scale so much because it doesn't give you the full picture. It's not very reliable. Um, so I would personally recommend not weighing in more than once a week. And once every other week is adequate as well. Because there's so much fluctuations from day to day, that's more noise. The more noise we can tune out, the better. Like the scale should not be informing what you're doing every single day. Like we need to stick with the same thing, especially, I mean, we know what you're doing is working, Dion. So we need to stick with the exercise and the nutrition that is working right now. Not consult the scale so much because we know we need to just keep our head down and grind. But we look up sometimes to look at the scale to make sure we're on the right track. And we can do that every 2 weeks. We can do that. Yeah, I would say once every other week or once a week is enough. Because we do need to know at what point does progress start to slow, which we look at the trend line across the last 4 weeks, not from one week to the next or one day to the next, to know when things are slowing down, to know when either a nutrition change is needed or an exercise change. So don't look at the scale so much. Water weight increases and decreases with stress. And just drink the amount of water that has you not feeling dizzy, that has your urine pretty much clear. And that would be what I would recommend on water weight.
Okay. Thank
Nice.
you.
Yes, of course. Great questions, y'all. Alrighty, y'all. Well, more questions to come. Feel free to drop them on Ask Michelle. I know I've got a couple from yesterday that I'm working on today. But ask your questions there, and then I'll see y'all in a couple weeks. Alrighty. Send me exercise videos. I
Thank
love
you,
looking them
Michelle.
over.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Bye.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.